What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with a recap of the weekend of fights. We're gonna do separate videos for each fight. I was gonna go live originally and just talk it over with you guys, but we still have more time to talk about these fights. But I wanted to do separate videos talking about these wins from each one of these fighters. We're gonna talk about Ellis. We're gonna talk Andrade. We're gonna talk Boots Ennis, and we're gonna talk Tank Davis in separate videos. All right. But anyway, I hope everyone had a great weekend. I sure did. We was able to cover some boxing yesterday. I was supposed to get on live early, but spend some time with my family. My little sister's birthday. We went out. We went to an old school arcade spot. Was playing video games. It was pretty dope. Had a good time yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to jump on YouTube, but now I am here. All right, so let's talk. Let's recap the fight real quick. Demetrius Andrade wins a points decision against Nicholson in a 10 rounder, all right? Scored a couple knockdowns in the fight. There was about 4 knockdowns in the fight in total. Andrade was able to drop Nicholson down 3 times, but one of them was ruled a slip, and Nicholson was able to drop Andrade 1 time in the fight, which was ruled a slip. So there was only 2 official knockdowns from Demetrius Andrade, one earlier in the fight and one late in the fight. Thing is, fight wasn't really competitive. You know, I think that Nicholson might have given him maybe 1 round out of the fight. He did show good durability. He did a lot of taunting and a lot of talking, though. Not much action, not much fighting from him. More defending from him. And, he was able to be durable in the fight, though. But as far as offensively, he didn't really give Andre much trouble in the fight outside that one disputed slip knockdown that he had of Andrade. But outside of that, I think Nicholson just wanted to show that he was tough and he had heart and that he can go the distance and not really get hurt by Andrade. But as far as it being competitive, it was not competitive at all. I'm not gonna even lie. It went the distance. I think most of the criticism that Andre is receiving is because he didn't get a knockout. People were expecting this to be a knockout. Nicholson is really like on his talent wise, he's not on Andre's level, and people wanted a knockout simply because as the fight is going, Damon is not really doing anything to make it competitive. He's had his moments. Yes, he hit him a few times, but it's a fight at the end of the day. I remember the best punch he landed was probably like a jab that he landed midway through the fight that actually hurt Andrade a little bit, made him fall back, made him like close his eye a little bit. But outside of that, there wasn't really much moments from Nicholson as far as him like being a general in the ring or anything like that. There was no point in the fight that I felt he was winning. All right, now Andrade, he is coming off some inactivity. He didn't fight all year in 2022. All right, so he hasn't fought all year. He had an injury of early last year where he was supposed to fight Zach Parker. Then they tried to reschedule the fight, and Andrade pulled out of it because the purse bid money was just too low. All right, so he didn't fight at all in 2022, and now he's strapless. All right, his fight, his belt, his WBO middleweight title was stripped from him and given to Janabek. All right, so Andre is a little rusty. He comes in 2023. He's no longer with Eddie Hearn. He's no longer with Matchroom. He's not fighting on the zone. He returns to Showtime in years. It's been a long time. He's looking to get a Jamal Charlo fight or maybe get the winner of Plant and Benavides. So he's looking for opportunities over there because while he was with the zone, he didn't get certain opportunities. He didn't get the Billy Joe Saunders fight because Saunders tested positive for a PED, and that fight was canceled, and it was never rescheduled. Saunders went on to move up to 168, eventually landing a fight with Canelo Alvarez, right? And, he wanted Triple G, he wanted Canelo, he wanted other fights while he was over there on the zone, and he just could not land any of these fights, even while being a champion. No unification matches over there at 160. We already know how that division is. Most guys don't unify. I know Triple G did against Murata, but he didn't want to, he didn't want to do it with Andrade or Jamal Charlo. Now, as far as this fight, in my opinion, it should have been a knockdown. I went to look back again, and I think if a punch lands clean during a flurry, even if you were off balance a little bit, even if you get tripped up a little bit, if a punch lands during a flurry and you go down, should have been scored a knockdown. Again, it was a flash knockdown. Andrade wasn't hurt. It wasn't a big deal. I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the fight by any means. But it could have been scored a knockdown if, depending on how the ref look at it, It's not a big deal to me. But this performance, it's not that it was bad. I know and understand that people want knockouts. And I think at this level, Andre probably should have scored a knockout, I know people were leaving comments while I was on live saying that, if he wants the bigger fights, he has to score a knockdown. These are the fights where you got to perform. I just don't think Andrade is a KO artist. It is what it is. He's just not a KO artist. He gets KOs. All right, but he doesn't knock out everybody. He's not a KO artist. He has 32 wins and 19 knockouts. All right? He gets knockouts, but he's not a KO artist. All right? He's not Tank. He's not Wilder. He's not that. He's just not. He did stop Jason Quigley, and yes, he does stop guys, but for the most part, he's not fighting the top tier fighters. Some of these guys are able to go the distance with him. The thing with Andrade, and I don't think this fight was any different from any other fight. Andrade starts pretty fast, and then he tends to slow down a bit. All right. I think his best, for the most part, when he stops guys, is probably within the first half of the fight. All right, but as the fight goes longer, he tends to struggle a little bit. He had a couple moments where he struggled against Nicholson a little bit. I'm thinking of the Selecki fight. I think as time went on, the fight got more boring, because Andrade is just winning, but we're not seeing much action. It's the same with Liam Williams as well. Andrade came out fast. He hurt Williams early. It was like a point where I thought he would stop Williams. And as the fight went on, Williams started having his moments. He hurt Andrade, you know what I'm saying? And he was having some success in that fight. But Andrade, he fought solid fighters. Selecki was solid. Williams was good. Willie Nelson was good. He stopped Tony Harrison. Vanes Martirosyan was good. There are some fights. Jack Colque is a good fighter. These are good fighters. Are they top tier? No, they're not. But they're good fighters. All right? The thing is, when people say he has to do this in order to get a fight, no, he doesn't. Jamal didn't always fight people that I wanted to see him fight. Neither did Canelo. Neither did Triple G. They fought guys that none of us wanted them to face. Now I understand Canelo and Triple G and even Jamal. Yes, they did fight some better fighters. They did. All right. But Andrade wanted those fights and they didn't want it. What is he going to do? From 154 all the way up to 168 now. Some of these fights, Andrade is at fault. But others, it's not his fault. Some of these fighters just didn't want to fight him. Did they go on and fight other good fighters? Yes, they did. And I know that some of these fighters like Jamal or even Triple G and Canelo, especially those two, they have the options to fight other people. You know why? Because people recognize them more. They earn more in a fight. So they have the option to pick and choose and decide on, even if the options are good fighters and top tier fighters, they have options. And Andrade was never an option for them. They never wanted to fight him. All right? But with that being said, Andrade is at fault for a lot of things. And this is the main thing that I wanted to address in this fight because, of course, I'm going to give you Andrade his props. Andrade has had a solid career. He's defending his titles in 2 different divisions. So I have to give him that. But the biggest mistake out of all the mistakes he's done, I know there's there's Rock Nation years, with Jamel and Showtime and Lara when he turned down that deal. I know there were other opportunities, other fights he could have had that he turned down and didn't take. All right. Most recently, the Janovic fight was one of the biggest mistakes. And one thing, you might lose your card, you lose your belts on the score, on a scale. One thing you never do is let them take the belt from you because you don't want to fight your mandatory. You never ever let a sanctioning body take the belt from you because you don't fight your mandatory. You just never do it. Lose a belt on a scale is totally different. Benavidez lost his. Shakur Stevenson recently lost his. Tank has lost his. And that's bad. I'm not justifying that because that's bad too. Because it could remove you from other opportunities. It has for Benavidez. But one thing you never do, even if you decide to move up, you move up with that belt. You never move up and lose the belt without losing in the ring. And I think Andrade is too old at this point in his career to do those kind of mistakes. I said to you guys, Shakur Stevenson. Oh, it's not Shakur. Well, no, Devin Haney. Couple years ago, when Devin Haney had that whatever title he had, with the WBC, he had the regular WBC, and Loma had the franchise. People were saying, when he got emailed it and he couldn't get the fight, and people complaining all these other guys were fighting each other, Teal and Loma, and then Teal and Quimbosos and all of this stuff. I said, Haney should keep that belt. Do not get rid of that belt. And belt might feel like it's garbage, but that belt is very valuable. Because no one is going to recognize any of these fighters as undisputed until they fight for that belt too. And I was right. And the only time, it wasn't until after Devin Haney won it against Kambosos where everybody universally, I'm not talking about just fans or supporters of Kambosos or Teofimo Lopez. I'm talking about everybody. It was no longer disputed. They were calling Teo undisputed, but it was still disputed. Undisputed means it's not disputed anymore. It's not disputed now that Devin Haney has it. It's not disputed anymore. It was disputed when George had it or when Teo had it. It doesn't matter what the WBC recognized these guys as. It was still disputed. And with that being said, I was right. And now that Andrade doesn't have a belt, there's no real reason for anyone to fight you now. They didn't fight you when you had a title. You got stripped at 154. You got stripped at 160. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, it's a bad decision. You don't get stripped. You don't get stripped while fighting a mandatory. Ever. Because now, Janovic and Zach Parker, many people felt that those two fighters, especially Janovic, because he was your direct mandatory. The other one was just you moving up and fighting to be positioned to be mandatory at 168. Janovic, people felt that that was your toughest challenge. I thought it was. I thought he was tougher than Liam Williams. I mean, he might not have been proven to be, but when I look at the styles and looking at the eye test, given the eye test, I think Janovic was a worthy opponent. Now, I wasn't mad when he decided to go up to 168 and chase Canelo. But if you're going to go up there and chase Canelo, make sure that's your priority. Don't go up there and playing back and forth with 160 and 168 and get stripped and now you're left with nothing. You got played but you played yourself too. So he has to take accountability in that. And I don't know where this goes, because Jermall Charlo is a WBC champion at 160. He's been at PBC. They already talked about him possibly fighting Plant and Benavidez winner, or maybe one of them even before they were scheduled to fight. What makes you think Plant or Benavidez is going to fight you when they don't have to? It wouldn't be a unification. There's no belt on line. What exactly would they be fighting you for? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have anything. It's not about what I want. Do I want the fight? Absolutely. I want to see Andrade fight Charlo and the winner of that, or some other people. So where does Andrade go from here? You know, because even if Jermall decides to fight you, he's not going to fight on his first one back. He hasn't fought even longer than Andrade. He hasn't fought since the summer of 2021. So he's going to come back and probably have a tune-up. At this point, we're in January of 2023. He's not going to fight him on his first one back. He's going to have a tune-up. And by that time he has a tune-up, he may possibly fight the winner of Plant and Benavidez. I mean, he is a WBC champion. And I believe if he were to move up, because I think Plant and Benavidez, the winner of that would be the mandatory for Canelo again. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to look it up while I'm here. Yeah, the WBC is ordering that fight. It's a final eliminator. They might not even have to fight Jermall Charlo. But Jermall says, I want to move up and I'm the champion. You know, I don't know how that works with the WBC, but I just don't think Andrade is going to get the opportunity as easy as he thinks he's going to get now that he's with the PBC. You know, and there's been opportunities, there's been times where even with guys being on the PBC, fights still didn't get made. It doesn't automatically mean you're going to get the fight. So who else is over there? Well, there's David Morrell Jr. Do you really want to fight David Morrell Jr. right now? If David Morrell Jr. fought Damon Nicholson, he would have destroyed Damon Nicholson in a couple rounds. Do you really want to skip Janovic, skip Zach Parker, and go straight to David Morrell Jr.? Not saying he doesn't have a chance, but that's as high risk, low reward that you can get. I don't think you fought all your career to face David Morrell Jr. for a super WBA title. Now, if you want to put yourself in position to fight Canelo in the future, yeah, you can get that if you win. But your chances of winning, I don't even know. That's a tough fight for Andrade or anybody else at 168. That kid is a monster. And I think if, basing on that performance against Damon Nicholson, I wouldn't even see Andrade as being the favorite going into that fight. Even with the lack of experience David Morrell Jr. has. Yeah, lack of professional experience, but he's clearly already a top-tier fighter at 168. I don't know what Andrade does from here. I'm unfortunately, unless Jermall Charlo fights him, if they can try to work something to where, you know, they give him the amount of money he wants to face Andrade, I really can't see Andrade fighting someone, not any of those names right now. I just can't see it right now. Andrade's going to have to put himself back in position to where You know, he's fighting on the opening fight on a main event of a main pay-per-view card under Rashidi Ellis and Jerron Boots Ennis. It's just, it's kind of sad, you know. As talented as he is, I just I'm worried that by the time we see him against the top name that he wants, I'm worried that he's going to be showing signs of age because it's all about timing. And even though he's with the PBC now and he's looking for these opportunities, I think the timing is a little off. You know, with all of that, I think he might have well has stayed with Matchroom because I don't even know if he's going to get these fights now. But he's on a fight to fight basis, so I don't know if he's going to resign. I don't know what's going to happen with Andrade. You know, but hopefully they could work something out because I want to see him fight against one of these guys before he begins to decline. That's what I don't want. That's what I'm concerned about. All right. So we just got to wait and see. But I don't know. I don't know what to really expect from here. All right. Maybe he gets lucky. You know, maybe Canelo does give him a phone call. You know, I mean, people that criticize Andrade and think that he's not that good and he's overrated, well, then Canelo could use him as a tune-up then. Make Andrade a tune-up. You know, don't fight John Ryder. I mean, it's probably going to be John Ryder, but make Andrade a tune-up. It's not going to happen, but if you think Andrade is not that good, then Canelo should fight him or should have fought him, you know? We'll see. I don't see that happening. But anyway, all right. That's my views on Andrade. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.